Aloha everyone, Joshua Hayes at BigWaveTrading.com. Very, very solid session on Tuesday. I have almost nothing to complain about, but you guys know me by now. I'll find something if there is something legitimate to complain about. And once again, the New York Stock Exchange, how funny is that its volume figures hasn't been coming in IntelliChart lately. Surprise, surprise. But the volume bars you see on the NYC is kind of emblematic of what happened throughout the rest of the market. You can see the S&P 500 volume was significantly lower today on the bounce. You can see on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, volume was lower on the bounce. And on the NASDAQ, you can see that volume was ever so slightly, itty bitty higher than the session before, still well below average on the bounce. And if you look at the ETFs, you can see the same thing across the board. There's no volume. But that being said, the market's near new highs. I got a lot of my long positions have held up. I haven't been able to get to much more than 35% cash before new longs trigger, and the recent stops are not so much that it's not making up for the amount of capital I'm putting in the new long positions. So we're starting to skew back towards the 30%. And following today's session, I'm pretty sure I'll be right around 25% or less, because I had quite a few signals. But before I go there, let's go over the trades that triggered today. You can see the long positions that traded. Everything triggered except for one extra one came about near late day. My DDE ad signal triggered. Now, unfortunately, today the BOP fell, so immediately I'm moving a third of my entire position to 1 cent below today's low of day as it lost green BOP, and I'll be consolidating my stops. So I was using the gap fill previous highs of DDE, but now that'll be the gap up lows as the final sell stop. So that's what I do whenever it loses its BOP catalyst. But if you look at the stops today, you can see very, very, very orderly session overall. Profit stops mainly, but there are definitely some sell stops in there. That one was flat. Sell stop, sell stop. Profit stop, sell stop, sell stop. Small sell stop. So you can see that there were actually probably more sell stops today than there were profit stops. And the profit stops I'm clicking on. You know what? Maybe I'm wrong. I think there was more profit stops than sell stops, so I'm actually incorrect. There's more profit stops in there than sell stops. But the bottom line is, what you're seeing, very orderly. Nothing shocked me. NSCC was the only really ugly one, CPAH, but CPAH is speculative, so it to fail, never a big deal, never surprising. So I guess NSSC was really the only disappointing one. For end of day sell signals, there weren't that many either. Lone closing below its 50-day moving average, and the 8-9 low of day on above average volume, heavier volume. I'm going to have now half of what I have remaining. First sell stop at 808 because it's splitting hairs with 812. Then I have a stop here, 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 and I'm not sure, but I think my final sell stop has got to be right here, 577, and they would all be for profit since our entry is back here. So that's lone. EGY, another 50% end of day sell signal. Remember, it won't be until there's a close below this low triggering a final sell stop. But this was a 50%er day, this is a 50%er day, and they will continue to be 50% sell signals if it's heavier volume than the session before, above average volume. With that red BOP, before that final loss comes into play, I have half of what I have left is 1 cent below here, and my final half is right there on EGY. PRO 50%er, 50% of what I have left goes right here. My final sell stop is right there on PRO. EMX fail. That's 100% sell signal. I got knocked out today, so I'm all out. NSSC failed, got knocked out. It seemed like 13% loss. FSCT confirmation close below the 50-day moving average on above average volume, and red BOP also closing below the most recent support levels. I think 31.90. Yep, it's even below this one on a closing basis. So that's it. It's a 100% sell signal. I was not completely out intraday today when it moved below those lows. And then the last one, ENPH, confirmation close below the 50-day moving average on, this is about average volume with red BOP increasing. This I guess you could have done this as a full sell signal. Now my final stop was here, so on this day I was not completely out, but with it closing above where it opened and with the bullish intraday tail, it was not a full sell signal on an end of day basis. But now with the stock re-rolling over and basically closing just a couple of cents off that low a day with the heavier volume that is average and the increasing BOP, that's a 100% full sell signal in ENPH, and I think we're leaving that one with a 10% gain. So new long signals, there's 6 of them. They're not perfect. They all came from high quality scans, but only one was confirmed in a side scan, SEAS, and it's extended. But FIVN, this is a CanSlim quality stock, earnings winner, and perfect speculator quality stock. MERC is CanSlim quality stock, earnings winner, it's out of the way. ECYT, earnings are out of the way, perfect speculator quality stock. C's is obviously an earnings winner. This is a perfect speculator quality stock. Not a big fan of this company, but whatever. I don't care. I just trade the stocks. OOMA, perfect speculator quality stock. This is also an earnings winner. Hold on. Gotta turn off a phone that's ringing. Sorry about that. That is also an earnings winner, as earnings are out of the way there. And then RDWR, CanSlim quality. Also in my green bot for the past 20 days scan. So this will be the actual largest position size. So we'll start off with this one. RDWR, CanSlim quality in my bot for 20 bot green for the past 20 days scan. 1.5% of my account capital. Limit order 2742. I did not write down the stop loss levels. I just now realized I haven't done this yet. So the first stop would be here. Second stop here. Third stop there. Fourth and final stop for me right there on RDWR. I don't know what the levels are. Sorry, I forgot to write them down. Jumped the gun in making this video, I guess. Whoops. But you can figure it out on your own stock charts, and if not, check the new positions page. I will have them on there. So RDWR, 1.5%. Then MERC from the CanSlim quality scan. Want to get long, limit order, 1% of my account capital at 1780. First cut loss is this level here or this level here, and then the final cut loss will be right there. So 50% here, 50% there. But once again, if this level goes, I'll start raising, consolidating, tightening stops depending on how it pulls back well before this low ever comes into play. ECYT, love, like you can go out, zoom 3 and just look at how much, it's uptrending. It's really coiled in an ascending base pattern and just seems coiled to move. With the BOP increasing and the heavier volume today, this is about as safe as an entry as I can even remotely think of, because when it moves, I bet you it just moves without giving us a chance to get in. Limit order 1657, 1% of my account capital. Your first cut loss can be right here. Your second cut loss can be right there, and my final cut loss will be right there. So 1, 2, 3 is where my stops will be for ECYT. And then OOMA from my perfect speculator scan, pocket pivot point signal, very, very nice. Going limit order 1650. First cut loss, split in hair, so probably right there. Second cut loss right there. Third and final cut loss right there. I want to give a looser final stop loss to most of these because they're a little extended. They're super bulled up considering how the market's acted recently. So even if the market wants to continue to consolidate and pull back, I want to possibly let these, have a chance of really, really running higher. We'll see if they can do it. SEAS and FIVN are the two earnings winners. FIVN, CanSlim perfect speculator quality. Want to get long, 43.45, 0.75% of my account capital. 50% of my stops will be right here, and the final half will be right there. Once again, if it pulls back on heavier volume and or does it while losing green BOP, I'll be raising and consolidating stops. The same goes for SEAS, limit order 2566. First cut loss level right there or right here. I'm not sure which one's lower, but I'll find out. Whichever one's lower is the first 50. And then the final 50% go right there. Once again, same scenario. Doesn't move up immediately. I'll start cutting losses. Now, which ones are safe? Quote, quote, safe. Which ones are risky? They're all risky. Look at this tape. This is poor seasonality. We have no volume on any of the up days. I mean, do those volume bars give you confidence that this market is for sure going to rip to new highs without any, turbulence along the way? It's hard to believe that. So FIVN, I would consider this risky. extended from the 10, 20-day moving average. Merck, I would consider safe with it being right there at the 50-day moving average and can slim. ECYT, I would consider, despite its high beta, it moves a lot intraday for a normal small movement, high beta, I would consider it safe because it's right there at the 50-day moving average coiled in this base. SEAS, risky. It's extended from all of its longer-term moving averages, 20, 50, 100, and 200. OOMA, risky. While it's not extended from its 20 and 10 and 5-day moving average, it's extended from its 5 or 50 and 200. So that's risky. RDWR, not risky. Safer because it's right there. It's not the safest because it's a little extended from the 50, but it's basically right there and it's right on top of its 5, 10, and 20. So it's kind of hard to argue with that, especially with all the nice accumulation in green bop in this charts. If I had more charts that looked like RDWR and the market would move up on heavier volume while pulling back on lower volume, guys, we're looking at least probably a 3% position size because I would give it 2.5% asset allocation for being can slim and then another 1% for being in that green bop scan. So we're looking at least a 3.5% position for RDWR. And if the market's ever good again, remember, the can slim scan alone can be a 5% signal. The perfect speculator scan alone can be a 5% signal. But everything has to be lined up. Market uptrending on heavier volume, pulling back on lower volume, coming out of oversold conditions, with the follow-through day, with bearish sentiment clearly in effect. And I mean, everything has to be lined up. And then I start pushing it. And the gains that we will see, because the VIX will be elevated, which means that the gains will be exponentially greater than what you're seeing now, it's going to be hard to find anything better than this place at bigwavetrading.com. But right now, you got to be smart. If you trade, you got to trade small or not at all. Or if you decide, screw it, Josh, you told me 20 stocks 5% each or 5 stocks 20% each, and that's what I'm adhering to. Well, then if you do that, you got to do one of two things. You either keep tighter personal stops, paying attention to that dollar loss amount to make sure it never goes over 1%, or you only obey the very first recommended stop level. So with RDWR, that would be right there. OTEL or OOMA, I mean, that'd be right there. C's right there. ECYT right here, one of those two levels. Merck right there. FIVN right there. So it's up to you, but you've got to decide. Everyone is different. Me, I trade small. I have a large account size that I can do this end-of-day swing trading with, trend following with, and I only pay $1 in commissions. One trade at each trade in and out is $10. 5 trades on my end in and out is $10. It's all about what you can handle. All right, everyone. See you in the chat room tomorrow. Aloha.